Hey, what's up guys, it's TechZoomer, talking to you here. And in today's video, I want to talk about the M1 Mac Mini. Because I think that the M1 Mac Mini is currently a very, very underrated computer. The M1 Mac Mini was released in 2020 together with the M1 MacBook Air and the M1 MacBook Pro. But unlike the M1 MacBook Pro and the M1 MacBook Air, the M1 Mac Mini hasn't been updated in almost 2 years. And that's really sad because the M1 Mac Mini was a really good computer when it came out. But why did Apple not upgrade and put the M2 on the Mac Mini, and will we ever see an M2 Mac Mini? Because I think that the M1 Mac Mini was such a special computer at that time that I think that it deserves the video now in 2023, talking about why in 2023 the M1 Mac Mini is totally worth it and should buy it. Of course, if you enjoy these types of videos, do not forget to drop a like down below, subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys for all of your support. No further ado, let's get started. So, the M1 Mac Mini. That's a truly great computer. The M1 Mac Mini was released in 2020 when Apple first introduced the Apple Silicon lineup. It was one of the first, not the first computer to be announced by Apple with Apple Silicon. And actually, it was the first platform where Apple applied Apple Silicon on the Mac lineup with the A12Z experimental Mac Mini for developers, the developer kit. So, why did Apple not upgrade the M1 Mac Mini until then? Well, I think that's a pretty difficult question to answer for. There's a lot of answers, but I think my theory is that Apple has been, one, scared, and two, constrained. I think that Apple has been constrained to the amount of chips that they have, and so they decided to put the M2 chip only on the device that makes them more money. Think about this. The M1 MacBook Pro gets the M2 MacBook Pro upgrade. The M1 MacBook Air gets the M2 MacBook Air upgrade. Why did the Mac Mini M1 did not get the M2 Mac Mini upgrade? I think that Apple makes so much more money on laptops than they do make on the Mac Mini. Because the Mac Mini, although it's really cheap to build, it's also really cheap to sell. Imagine, Apple right now is selling Mac Minis with the M1 for around $599, which is just ridiculous. Imagine, Apple could make the M2, but why would they? People that are buying Mac Minis, they don't need the extra performance out of the M2 chip. And the M2 chip is a transistor chip, like it's only for a transition between the 5 and 3 nanometer. As you see on the M2 MacBook Air, the M2 chip is not that much more powerful. And even on a machine that is properly cooled, like the M2 MacBook Pro, the differences are not that big. So Apple decided that it was not probably worth it to put more constraint, more strain on their lineups and decide to make an M2 Mac Mini. I think that Apple right now is probably waiting until they have more freedom to build more M2 chips on TSMC, or even they are just cancelling at all the M2 Mac Mini and they will only release the M3 Mac Mini. But all of these in mind, why should you buy the M1 Mac Mini in 2023? Well, I think it's pretty simple. The M1 Mac Mini right now is starting, like I told you, refurbished on Apple Store, $599. For that money, you cannot buy no desktop, like there's no desktop available for you to buy that powerful, with that much stuff attached to it, and of course macOS. I think that the M1 Mac Mini is the best deal of the century in terms of computer-wise. If I did not have my M1 Max MacBook Pro right now, I would definitely buy an M1 Mac Mini so I can use my display and keyboard and mouse. I love the M1 Mac Mini. Actually, do you want to see an experiment when I buy the M1 Mac Mini in 2023? I would like to see how it looked. I would like to leave it with that computer for 2 weeks to see if I can do every single thing on my channel on the M1 Mac Mini. I have the display, I have the keyboard, I have the mouse. I just have to buy an M1 Mac Mini. If you want that, do not forget to drop a like down below. And of course, comment so I know that you want that video. But continuing on the M1 Mac Mini train, I think that the computer is still very sleek, small, and it only needs you to buy a display, keyboard and mouse. But if you already have one, like I do, then that's a huge deal. You can get an Apple Silicon computer with all of its quirks and advantages, like the burstiness, like the way that it films when you are browsing the web, sending emails, word pressing, or even better, when you are editing videos. The M1 is so capable, like 4K, you can decode 4K footage. Believe me, 95% of you watching this video will benefit by having an M1 Mac Mini. Probably the 5% that you are a real pro, you have an M1 Max and M1 Pro. You don't really need the Mac Mini. But the M1 Mac Mini is a truly perfect computer to put in your house, to put in your desk when you are working, to put whatever you want to. The M1 Mac Mini is cheap and it's really good for a reason. I hope I could get in my country the M1 Mac Mini for $600. If I did, I already had bought one and put it here, so I did not have to carry around my MacBook. But still, the M1 Mac Mini, in my opinion, is a really, really good deal. Of course, if you think with me, there's no competitor on the Windows market that can still fight with the M1 Mac Mini. Microsoft released the Volterra system a few years ago, but right now has announced it and sold it to developers or everyone that wants to buy one, but it's on beta. It's very confusing. That computer does not even touch the heels of the M1 Mac Mini. Like, it's really, really, really huge, the gap between the M1 Mac Mini and its competition. But I think that the M1 Mac Mini has some room for improvement. For example, the M1 Mac Mini only features 2 USB-C ports at the back. It doesn't feature more USB-C ports than that, while the Intel Mac Mini features 4. So I think that Apple should release an M2 Mac Mini with 2 USB-C 4 ports and 2 normal USB-Cs, like I did on the Mac Studio. Then the M1 Mac Mini could have a version of a Pro Mac Mini, like the M2 Pro Mac Mini. There's more than thermal room on that Mac Mini to handle more power. So I would like to see that. Imagine you have the M2 and the M2 Pro Mac Mini, and then you have the M2 Max and the M2 Ultra Mac Studio. Or like you are having right now, you have the M1 Mac Mini, and then you have the M1 Max, and then the M1 Ultra Mac Studio. But if Apple wants to complete more like this Mac Mini lineup, then they could make an M1, M1 Pro, and then M1 Max, and then M1 Ultra. Imagine the Mac Studio as the Mac Mini Pro. But I think that would be pretty cool. And if Apple can launch that M2 Pro, whatever they want to call it, Mac Mini for around $1,200, $1,300, or at least the price of an M2 MacBook Pro, that would be insane. I really love the M1 Mac Mini. It's one of my favorite computers ever released from Apple, like ever. When I go into the Apple Store, I just want to bring one home, but I can never make myself to do it. But I think if you want to, so leave in the comments down below, I want to make a review of the M1 Mac Mini in 2023. I want to know if it's really worth it to buy. I want to know how it handles in terms of performance, thermals, and the speed in general. And of course, I want to know how it looks on my desk and if it can really replace my M1 Max MacBook Pro. So should I buy one and should I make that test? Your decision. Other than that, I think that for 90% of people, the M1 Mac Mini should be your first choice because it's really cheap. You probably have a display, a keyboard, and a mouse laying around, and you can save tons and tons of money and still get an amazing, amazing computer from Apple. Apple Silicon just revolutionized the industry of computers, and I think the M1 Mac Mini is the tip of the iceberg. So let me know in the comments down below what you think. The M1 Mac Mini is truly great. I love that computer. There was one guy, I think that was Nick and Sweeney, that make an amazing M1 Mac Mini. He replaced the cube with the insides of an M1 Mac Mini, and that was so cool. Like, the M1 Mac Mini is the perfect computer, guys. I love that computer, and I hope you do also. So don't forget to drop a like down below, subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys for all the support. This is me, Tech Smart, talking to you here. Bye.